Hello, gardening friend. It is May and time for our May garden tour. I love this time of year because there is explosive growth in the garden. Everything's coming to life and everything is so green. So I will turn the camera around and we will get busy seeing what's growing. She's really been growing. Angel, are you a garden dog? Yeah, you love digging my stuff up, don't you? All right, here's the bottom of the garden where I normally start. Here is my Terra Preta biochar. See, it's got a bunch of lamb quarters that came up in it. Just sort of let that grow. But I did plant some. Oh, I didn't plant that. That's a volunteer tomato. That's a pretty big volunteer right there. In a good spot too, so I might just leave it. The cover crop, what's left of the cover crop is mostly some crimson clover. I get a close up of that. There we go. Some crimson clover. So I pulled some of that back and I planted 2 little rows of corn down through here, but it's not sprouted up yet. There is a fig that I got from someone in town. I'm not sure what variety that is yet, so I guess we'll find out. My figs didn't do well with the winter this year. They got damaged from the cold. We had super cold in December, the early part of December, and yeah, a lot of them died back. I did prune them rather heavily, so I think they were under stress, and some of them actually got an ambrosia beetle that I had to chop them down even farther to get rid of the ambrosia beetle. I do have some tomatoes in here. There's a tomato. I put minimal amendments in with my tomatoes this year. Mostly I just put biochar and a little bit of 10-10-10. I believe I put some 10-10-10 fertilizer in with them. So yeah, there's a few tomatoes there. I have a trellis here for them to go up, so I can tie them to these strings as they grow. Some more. I do have a row of arugula down here, which is looking really good. I did put some biochar in there, I know. And of course we got a lot of garlic growing there too. Here's one of my fig trees that I was talking about, that I had to cut it down to the ground because, well, it was pretty much dead anyways. I believe this is a yellow long neck or a yellow Lebanese, which probably isn't the greatest fig for my climate anyways, so I might go ahead and replace it with a different fig. Oh, speaking of a different fig, I transplanted my Violette de Bordeaux. Love saying that. Transplanted my Violette de Bordeaux up here. I did have leaves over that, so it made it through fine. It is a small fig just getting started. Here's some more garlic. Here's some more garlic. Look at the stalk on this garlic. You can see it's got a nice stalk on there. I'm expecting to get some nice bulbs out of it this year. I saw someone online, one of the gardening groups, who pulled up their garlic right at this stage, and they said, why isn't there any bulbs on my garlic? And everybody said, well, you pulled it up too early. You gotta wait for the leaves to die. You wait for everything to die, probably June or July in most areas. I usually wait too long, so I have to search for the garlic, and the cloves start falling apart because they have been in the ground too long. But hopefully I'll get it out in time this year, and hopefully I get some good garlic. Here's some onions. I planted these from those little onion, the bulbs that you get in a bag, or you can buy them by the pound in some garden stores. So I planted those in the fall, and they're doing really well. And then I bought some onion sets that I just put in yesterday, which you get in a pack of just little starts and little bulbs. So these things will make nice onions too. I've got a lot of cilantro here that is going to seed. You can see the flowers there. I planted some okra back in here. That's okra, and I planted some other seeds just recently too, to get a little bit more of a row of okra. My blueberry bush, I think I just planted that last year, maybe at the end of the season, I forget. So it's not doing a whole lot yet, but it's looking good. I did put some of that like azalea fertilizer on it to give it some acidic, make the soil more acidic. More garlic. If I want to get anything out of this cilantro, I need to put it in the dehydrator or something like right away before it goes to seed anymore. And I can let one or so of these plants go, so I will have a lot of cilantro seed. There she is, showing you how she digs. Let's see how you dig. Oh, no, you're not gonna do it under pressure, huh? All right. This apple tree did not like the cold as well. However, there are some late blooms. So it looks like I probably will get a couple apples off of this tree this year. I believe this is a yellow delicious. There's some blooms that are beyond their prime too. That'd be nice to get some apples. Okay, I covered my moringa tree with leaves, a lot of leaves, but I don't think it helped. See how the roots look really floppy and loose? I doubt if that's gonna sprout up from the roots this year, but could be surprised. Maybe it's just not warm enough yet, because we had a long, cold spring. My peach tree also didn't like the cold. It was blooming when it was so warm, it started blooming, and then we got a cold snap right when it was blooming. And I was hoping it was past the budding, and it would have been able to handle it, but I don't see any peaches on there. But I might be surprised and see some in a little bit, but I'm not real optimistic about that. So guess we'll wait for next year on that. Here's another fig that I had to chop down because it was completely dead. This is a tiger panache, which I have not even ever gotten a fig off of that. It was about 5 feet tall. I already planted some watermelon down here. I made a nice pile with some potting soil compost and biochar. I'm surprised the dog hasn't dug in here yet. Maybe she won't. So yeah, those should be sprouting up soon. I have a trellis here. I think I'm gonna plant some beans up here, maybe cucumbers. Here's my favorite fig tree, which is J.H. Adriatic. And I did chop that off because it did have the ambrosia beetle in it. But it's sprouting up from the roots. Everything's sprouting up from the roots for the figs. That's what they'll do if they get a horrible winter. They just go back and come out from the roots. So I might have to cut that back so it's not so many sprouts coming up from the ground. Look at all these tomatoes. This is where I had a Everglades tomato, and obviously some seeds got in the soil because there are a ton of plants all over the place there. Pretty amazing. All those volunteers. This is my Deanna fig, which I also had to chop that one down, but it's got good growth coming out already. Planted some tomatoes in this trellis here. Let's see, since we're over here, I transplanted some winter sowed carrots here, and the dog promptly dug them up because it probably liked my compost smell. So I don't know. Looks like they might recover if the dog keeps away from them. And on the other side of this little trellis, I have some cucumbers that I winter sowed and transplanted. I've never tried transplanting cucumbers before. So they're on the back side of the trellis. I did that to protect them from the puppy. So far, so good. Okay, here is my raspberry patch. I've already eaten a couple raspberries that have gotten ripe. Looks like we're gonna have a lot more coming there. Raspberry patch looks pretty full. Usually this time of year, I'm in there trying to weed it, but it's so full now that I think the weeds are gonna get smothered. This is comfrey, which is great for making like manure teas, swamp teas, some people call them. This is milkweed that I planted for the monarch butterflies in the little garden here. There's a bunch of milkweed, and we have seen some worms on here that are eating it, and one of them even turned into a chrysalis, which I might put that chrysalis on the thumbnail just for fun and for people to say, I wonder what that is. It looks like something was eating right there. See that white milk coming out of the milkweed? That's why they call it milkweed, because white stuff comes out of it. If you break it off or whatever, see that white? That's why they call it milkweed. In case you guys didn't know that. Okay, here are some strawberries. That one looks like it should be good to go, maybe later today, if the birds don't get it first. I'm not real impressed with my strawberries. If anybody has a variety that does well, Zone 7B, I would appreciate letting me know, because these things just seem like they rot really easily, and their taste is not very sweet. This is a hardy kiwi that I haven't gotten any fruit off of. Last year it did bloom, so I'm thinking the cold may have stopped it from blooming this year, because I don't see any blooms at all. And so I'll probably chop it back so it doesn't give my garden any more shade than it has to, and it'll grow more robustly for next year. This is actually a dandelion plant I planted. It's a cultivated variety. Here is two rows of lettuce. I put Terra Preta in this row over here, and in this row over here, I did not put anything. But it's hard to sell it. It's hard to say if they're doing. Hi, dog. Hi, puppy. Hi, puppy. Yeah, good boy, good doggy. It's hard to say if they're really growing better or not. The first row is definitely growing nice, but the second row is growing nice too, especially the lettuce way in the back there. All right, I had some radishes. They're going to seed. There's a carrot from last year that's about to go to seed. Some more of the dandelion. Some more lettuce. This is a rosemary bush. It's gotten pretty huge. Probably cut that back. And I have some peppermint tea. I'm gonna take some of this inside because my throat is sore, and my grandson was just complaining that his throat is very sore. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a tea with that. Make a tea, put some honey in it. Hopefully that'll make our throats feel better. Look how big the bloody dock is since it turned nice and, well, since it got warmer, and it's really sprouted out. Has some seed pods starting to grow on that, so I usually try and stay pretty active of taking those off so it continues to grow. I should make another video of how I make green eggs. In fact, I'll put a link in the top. I think I might have done a short recently of doing green eggs that I used the Bloody Dock. Seems like the red and green mixed with the orange egg makes a beautiful green egg. Green eggs. He eats them because they look so disgusting. Here's some more onion sets that I put in the ground last fall, and they're actually forming bulbs, which is a little bit unusual. You never know what you're gonna get with those onion sets because the stores don't even know exactly what varieties you're having there. Here is some kale that I just planted out from the winter sow jugs. Some red Russian kale. I think it's maybe all red Russian kale, or maybe not. But that should be starting to take off as long as someone doesn't come in here and dig things up. Angel, do you dig things up in the garden? Yes, you do. All right, this is the elderberries. They're about 7-8 feet tall, and there's 2 varieties here. It's supposed to have 2 varieties, so they'll do a lot better job of growing. This is probably a turnip that is going to seed. Probably need to compost that because it's really in my way here, right on my path. But you see all the seed pods there? All these seed pods are gonna have seeds in them. And then I could grow the turnips out from there, and they should grow better because they're grown in this climate. Sometimes people say that that will make things grow a lot better. I have a few radishes in this row here. There's some nice red lettuce, which it's hard to walk by that and not take a bite. It's pretty good. It's starting to get a little bit bitter because of the heat. Have some blackberries back in here. Been meaning to get a little stake to put them up, but they're starting to grow. Getting blooms and berries on there. This is a little bit of a mess here. Need to clean up. It's got a lot of tea. This tea is invasive, and a lot of times people say to plant it in a pot, but I really don't mind it too bad because it pulls out so easily. It gets roots all along the stem there. See those roots? You could just pop that in a pot and it'd be good to go. Actually, the reason I pulled this out is because I see there is some red Russian kale here that I planted last fall, and I really didn't think anything made it through the winter, but it looks like it has. So I'll go ahead and pull the tea out from around that to let it get some light. There's a few stalks growing of that red Russian kale. And here are the persimmon tree. Here is the persimmon tree. See, it's got a lot of blooms on it this year. It's got tons and tons of blooms. Last year it had quite a few fruits on it, and we didn't get a single fruit for some reason. So it'd be interesting to see what happens this year because it's got even more buds on it. So we'll see what happens. So let me know what you have growing in your garden. Leave a comment down below. Tell me how your garden's doing, and I will see you again real soon.